The Haelor Empire was known throughout the galaxy for their technological superiority. They had conquered countless worlds, their ships and weapons far beyond anything any other species could muster. To them, the human race was a joke. Small, weak, and insignificant, Earth was nothing more than a blip on their radar, a planet with primitive technology and a people they considered too weak to defend themselves. The Haelor Empire, in its arrogance, decided that Earth should be wiped out. After all, they had already destroyed other civilizations that stood in their way. The time had come to crush this insignificant human race, and they sent a massive fleet of warships to do just that. On the USS Fury, a human warship stationed on the fringes of the galaxy, Captain Lena Volkov was preparing for a routine mission. But just as the crew was settling in, something unusual happened. A distress signal came through their communications system, a message from a nearby planet. It wasn't just any signal, but a frantic warning about an incoming alien fleet. The message was cut off abruptly before it could finish, but the crew knew it could only mean one thing. The Haelor Empire had come to Earth. Captain Volkov stood in front of her crew, the stern lines of her face showing no fear. She had heard of the Haelor Empire's might, but she refused to believe that they were unbeatable. The message was clear. They were about to face the fight of their lives. As the USS Fury powered up its engines and readied itself for the battle, the crew braced for impact. Volkov had always been known for her calm demeanor under pressure, but even she could feel the weight of the situation. They were outgunned. The Haelor fleet was enormous, far larger than anything the humans had ever faced. Even their strongest weaponry would struggle to hold its ground against the alien ships. Volkov knew they had no time to waste. Their resources were limited, their ship damaged from an earlier mission, and their morale was low. The crew was a mix of seasoned soldiers and nervous rookies. Some of them had never been in real combat, let alone against an enemy that was technologically superior. But Captain Volkov was their leader, and she knew that humanity's greatest strength was its ability to adapt, to outthink their enemies when brute force was no longer enough. She immediately issued her orders. The USS Fury would engage in evasive maneuvers, using its limited cloaking technology to stay hidden until the perfect moment to strike. "Hold steady, everyone," she called out over the comms. "We'll survive this, but only if we fight together. Stay focused and don't give up. Humanity's greatest weapon is our will to win." Her words echoed through the ship as the crew locked into battle positions, adrenaline pumping through their veins. The tension was palpable, but Captain Volkov had inspired confidence in them. The Haelor ships were moving in, ready to fire, but Volkov held on to one last hope, a secret technology she had kept hidden from the Haelor for just this moment. The USS Fury's cloaking device. As the Haelor ships locked onto the human vessel, the alien fleet opened fire. Explosions rocked space as missiles and plasma blasts flew toward the USS Fury. The human ship was being battered, but its cloaking device remained active just as Volkov had planned. Suddenly, everything went quiet. The Haelor ships were confused. They had lost the target. They couldn't lock onto the human ship, and for a brief moment, they had no idea where it had gone. The USS Fury had vanished into thin air. Volkov didn't waste a second. As the Haelor ships scrambled to reacquire their target, the humans launched a surprise counterattack. The USS Fury reappeared in a flash, firing all remaining weapons in a rapid assault on the lead Haelor warship. The powerful blasts tore through the alien ship's shields and damaged its core. The Haelor fleet staggered as the humans pressed on, surprising their attackers with their ingenuity. For the Haelor Empire, this was a nightmare they never saw coming. Their fleet had underestimated the humans, and now they were facing an enemy unlike any they had encountered before. The humans, whom they had thought of as weak, were proving to be far more dangerous than they had ever imagined. The Haelor Empire had made a fatal miscalculation. The humans weren't the helpless creatures they had believed. They were survivors. They were fighters. And now, the Haelor Empire would learn just how deadly humanity could be when cornered. The battle rages on as the USS Fury delivers strike after strike. But the Haelor Empire is not so easily defeated. The remaining alien ships regroup, their commanders vowing to crush humanity once and for all. Meanwhile, on the USS Fury, Captain Volkov knows the fight is far from over. The humans may have landed a powerful blow, but the Haelor Empire is relentless, and the crew of the USS Fury must face the unknown horrors that await them. As the Haelor fleet prepares for a second wave of attacks, the humans prepare for their next move, one that could change the fate of the galaxy forever. The USS Fury had struck a mighty blow against the Haelor fleet, but the battle was far from over. Captain Lena Volkov knew the victory was fleeting. Their ship was badly damaged, its systems failing, but she wasn't about to give up. The Haelor Empire had underestimated the resilience of the human spirit, and now they would feel the full force of humanity's ingenuity. With the Haelor flagship reeling from the surprise attack, Captain Volkov made a decisive move. She ordered the activation of a secret weapon, an AI-controlled drone swarm, a prototype designed to infiltrate and destroy even the most advanced alien shields. The drones were small, agile, and equipped with energy weapons capable of bypassing the Haelor's sophisticated defense systems. As the drones were launched from the USS Fury, they sped into the fray, weaving through the chaotic mess of alien ships. Each drone moved with precise coordination, dodging enemy fire and striking with surgical accuracy. Their energy blasts ripped through Haelor shields, cracking their advanced armor like fragile glass. Explosions erupted in the dark void of space, sending bright flashes of light that illuminated the battlefield. It was a dazzling display of human innovation and resilience. The Haelor fleet scrambled to respond, but their technology couldn't cope with the swarm's relentless assault. Their ships were caught off guard, and the once confident empire was now retreating in disarray. They had never expected such a response from the humans. For the first time, the Haelor were on the defensive. Despite the victory, the USS Fury had taken heavy damage. The ship's engines were struggling, its shields flickering, and many vital systems were failing. The crew worked furiously to keep the ship intact, but Captain Volkov knew that this victory came at a cost. The humans had fought back with everything they had, but the battle was far from over. As the dust settled, Captain Volkov stood in the command center, reflecting on the losses they had suffered. The image of her friend, Bonner, who had died while saving the ship from a deadly missile barrage, haunted her. His sacrifice wasn't in vain. He had given his life so the crew could have a chance to survive. Bonner's memory fueled Volkov's determination. She turned to her crew, her voice steady but filled with emotion. "We've lost too much to give up now," she said. "We owe it to Bonner, to everyone we've lost, to finish this fight." The crew gathered in silence, their grief unspoken but understood. The bonds of friendship and sacrifice had united them, and now they were more determined than ever. They were fighting not just for survival, but for those they had lost along the way. The Haelor Empire had underestimated humanity, but the crew of the USS Fury was determined to show them the true power of human resilience. The USS Fury's hard-won victory had come at a great cost. Despite their success, the crew knew the fight was far from over. As the human ship limped through the vast reaches of space, Captain Lena Volkov couldn't shake the feeling that the worst was yet to come. The Haelor Empire, humiliated by their defeat, was not about to let it slide. In a swift and brutal response, they deployed an even larger fleet, one that was twice the size of the first wave. But this wasn't just any fleet. It was a fleet armed with AI-controlled warships, designed to fight with cold, ruthless precision. These AI ships were faster, smarter, and more efficient than any human forces could hope to match. The Haelor Empire had learned their lesson, and they were coming back with a vengeance. The sight of the incoming Haelor fleet on the radar sent a chill down the spines of the crew. The number of ships was overwhelming, dozens of warships, all controlled by advanced artificial intelligence, each one a perfect killing machine. The humans, on the other hand, were battered and outnumbered. The USS Fury was still heavily damaged, and the crew had little time or resources to make repairs. Captain Volkov stood at the command center, her mind racing. The odds were stacked against them, but they couldn't afford to back down. With limited weapons and a damaged ship, their only hope was to use their greatest strength, human adaptability. They didn't have the numbers, nor the advanced AI technology of the Haelor, but they had creativity, courage, and the will to fight. They would use everything they had left to make this final stand. She gathered her crew for a meeting, the weight of the situation hanging heavy in the air. The tension was palpable. Everyone knew the reality of their situation. Many would not survive. As they discussed their strategy, it became clear that this battle would not be won by strength alone. It would take every ounce of human ingenuity to outsmart the relentless Haelor AI. In a quiet moment before the battle began, the crew gathered in the hangar, preparing for what might be their last fight. They suited up in their mechs, checking their cloaking shields and weapons. The mechs, though powerful, seemed almost inadequate against such an enormous fleet, but they were all the humans had left. The advanced cloaking devices gave them a slim chance of survival, but it was a slim one. The crew exchanged determined glances, but there was also a deep sadness in their eyes. Many knew this might be their final mission. They had fought so hard to get this far, but the battle ahead seemed insurmountable. The loss of Bonner and others weighed heavily on Volkov's heart, but she refused to let it break her resolve. She knew that whatever happened, they had to fight with everything they had. Captain Volkov stepped onto the bridge, her voice steady and firm but filled with emotion. "This is our final stand," she said. "We fight for Earth, for the ones we've lost, and for each other. No matter what happens, we will show the Haelor Empire the strength of humanity." With that, the crew of the USS Fury boarded their mechs, ready to face the incoming storm. Their hearts were heavy, but their determination was unshakable. As they prepared for battle, the USS Fury's engines roared to life. The crew knew this was it. This would be the fight that would either save them or end their journey. The Haelor Empire's fleet descended on the USS Fury with terrifying speed, their AI-controlled ships moving like a well-oiled machine. The humans, though battered and outnumbered, stood ready. Captain Lena Volkov knew this was the moment. This final stand would either break them or allow them to triumph over their technologically superior foes. As the Haelor fleet moved into attack position, Captain Volkov gave the order. Now. The command was simple, but the consequences were immense. The crew activated their secret weapon, a self-sacrificing EMP burst, one last desperate move to level the playing field. This EMP was unlike anything the Haelor had encountered. It was designed to disable the sophisticated AI systems controlling the Haelor ships, throwing their entire fleet into chaos. The EMP fired with a blinding flash, lighting up the entire battlefield. The massive pulse surged through space, knocking out the Haelor fleet's power. Their AI-controlled ships, once perfect killing machines, now became nothing more than uncontrollable hulks. The sudden shift was catastrophic for the Haelor. Ships spun out of control, crashing into each other as their systems failed. In the vast void of space, the Haelor fleet was left floundering, blind and vulnerable. Without wasting a second, Captain Volkov and her crew launched their final attack. The USS Fury and its crew, now fighting with everything they had, engaged in fierce close-quarters combat. Boarding parties of human soldiers stormed Haelor ships, overwhelming their disoriented crews. Mechs roared into battle, their powerful punches crushing alien defenses as human soldiers hacked through enemy ships, fighting with every ounce of strength and skill they had. The sight of the once mighty Haelor fleet falling apart was nothing short of breathtaking. But in the midst of this chaos, danger lurked around every corner. Captain Volkov, now leading a boarding party herself, found herself face-to-face with a Haelor officer, one of the few still functioning without the help of AI. The officer was a towering figure, armed with advanced alien weaponry, and as they clashed, it was clear that this fight would be a life-or-death struggle. Volkov fought with everything she had, her movements swift and precise. But as the Haelor officer closed in for the kill, Volkov was nearly struck down. In that moment, memories of her fallen friend Bonner flashed before her eyes. She saw his brave face, heard his final words, and felt his sacrifice deep in her heart. Bonner had given his life to save the crew, and now Captain Volkov could feel his spirit pushing her forward, fueling her survival instincts. With a burst of energy, Volkov spun, knocking the Haelor officer's weapon from his grasp. She pressed the advantage, her strikes fueled by the memory of her friend's bravery. The fight was brutal, but in the end, Volkov emerged victorious, her blade piercing through the officer's defense in a final, decisive blow. As the Haelor officer crumpled to the ground, Captain Volkov stood over him, breathing heavily, her body battered but unbroken. Her victory wasn't just for her. It was a tribute to Bonner and every other soldier who had sacrificed their life for humanity's survival. The battle wasn't over yet, but with this victory, Captain Volkov knew they had a chance. The USS Fury had survived the impossible, and the Haelor Empire's grip on the galaxy was beginning to slip. The final stand had begun, and humanity was proving that even the greatest of empires could fall in the face of their resilience. The final battle had been long and grueling, but the outcome was undeniable. The Haelor Empire's fleet was decimated. Their once impressive warships, now disabled and helpless, floated aimlessly in the cold expanse of space. The EMP blast had crippled their AI systems, and humanity's final strike had shattered their defenses. It was a brutal and decisive victory for the humans. The Haelor Empire, humiliated and broken, had no choice but to face the truth. Their fleet was in ruins, their superior technology rendered useless against the resilience and ingenuity of the humans. For the first time, they were forced to acknowledge that humanity, once dismissed as weak and insignificant, was a force to be reckoned with. In the Haelor High Command, a heavy silence fell over the room. A message was sent, a message of surrender. The Empire, with its advanced technology and vast military power, was admitting defeat. They had underestimated the humans, and now they were paying the price. The humans had fought with everything they had, and the Haelor Empire had been forced to bow to their strength. The message reached Captain Lena Volkov on the USS Fury. The crew, exhausted and battered, gathered in the command room as the captain prepared to address them. The tension was palpable. This wasn't just a military victory, it was a statement to the entire galaxy. The crew had not only survived, they had triumphed. Captain Volkov stood tall, her voice clear and unwavering as she spoke. "The Haelor Empire may have underestimated us," she said, "but no longer. We are not just a footnote in the galaxy's history. We are humanity. We are survivors. And from now on, the universe will know our name." Her words rang out across the comms, a message of defiance and strength. Humanity had proven that it was no longer a weak, defenseless species. They had risen to the challenge, and the galaxy would have to reckon with them. The USS Fury, though victorious, was battered. Its hull was scarred, and its crew was weary. But as it floated in space, a symbol of humanity's resilience, it stood tall against the vast emptiness of the universe. The image of the small, defiant ship, surrounded by the cold infinity of space, was a testament to everything humanity had fought for. They had come from nothing, and had proven that they could stand against the most powerful empires in the galaxy. As the scene began to fade, just before the credits rolled, a strange, mysterious signal reached Earth. The crew of the USS Fury listened intently as the signal echoed through the communication system. It was an alien transmission, garbled and cryptic. But it was clear. The message came from an unknown race, and it spoke of a new conflict, a larger galactic war that was about to unfold. The mysterious signal sent a shiver through the crew. A new chapter was about to begin. With the defeat of the Haelor Empire, humanity had made its mark on the galaxy, but the universe was vast, and new threats were already on the horizon. This victory, as sweet as it was just the beginning. The future was uncertain, but one thing was clear: humanity's fight had only just begun.